Hello guys, my name is Costa and welcome to the last lesson on this series. There will be more videos. There will be some videos of the tasks that I did not do because I saw them as challenges, and I will be doing some more videos on Python. But for this series on Python tutorial for beginners, this is the last lesson, lesson 13 on reading and writing to files. Most real-world problems need to be able to read and write data to files. Fortunately, Python makes this process extremely easy to do. To get Python to write to a file, we must first open it. And when I say open it, I'm not talking about open the file so you can see it. I'm talking about open it in memory. Write what we want to it, and finally close it. That all happens in memory. You don't actually get to see the file opening and closing. It just happens in memory. So let's actually go with, let's actually follow the example that they've shown us. So let me actually just write the example. So my file, just assign this variable, equals open, and we're just going to say example, use these speech marks, example.txt, comma, wt. We're going to understand, I'll go through what that exactly means soon. This is where we actually start to write. I have written to a file, and let me just put a smiley face, even though the PDF doesn't tell you to do that, and my file.close. Copy and run this code. If you look in the same direction where you save your program, you should be able to see when run. Okay, let's just run it. Now, let me save it. And yeah, it probably did it. It does that actually no print function. So let me go get the file. So if I just come over to the directory, so this is where my Python file is saved, and over here you can see this example right there. I've written to a file, so that did work. That worked nicely. So, yep, when writing to a file, Python creates it if it does not exist. That's very key. It does write. If it does not exist, it will write to it. Let's do the next one. If we want multiple lines, we can use the / new line escape sequence. My file, yeah, my file.write. I've written to a file. Let's now do. Oh, someone must be over here. It now has 3 lines. The third being this one. Now, so instead of me having to write my file.write, I'm just using /n, and all that does, it just puts a new line without me having to write my file.write. Because when you do this, again, it's a lot of commands. When you have a lot of commands, that does use more performance than if you were just writing one whole line of code. It's seen as more efficient if you just did it in one whole line of code. Alternatively, you can spread it. Yes, you can, but no, you will still need the /n. Yes, .write does not create a new line for you. Unlike in some other programming languages, they do have .write and .write line. So there you go. Reading from files is equally as straightforward. Make sure you have run one of the above programs so you can have the file. Yeah, for example, I have written to a file and I copy and run the following code. So let's just copy this code. Okay. And as you can see, we are opening up the file again. Return to read. We're saying contents equals myfile.read. Print that contents, please. And there you go. There's the contents. It has worked. If all has worked, the contents of your file should appear in your programming console. Did. Now here is where we're going to understand. We're going to look at this part of here. WT and RT. Now I'm going to read what the PDF says over here. The RT and WT that appear in the open command stand for read text and write text. They tell Python the type of file you are opening and what access you need. Now there are more kind of like modes of file, which I'm going to show you right over here. On this website over here, tutorials points, shows you the different modes. There is the R, opens a file for reading only. RB opens a file for reading only in binary format. You got write, you got append. If you do, because the write function, what it does over here exactly says here, opens a file for writing only, overwrites the file if the file exists. If the file does not exist, creates a new file for writing. So whenever you do the W, T, or just W, what it will just simply just do is it'll just clean off the file and write what you're telling it to. A is for appending. There are different types. There's A+, which is appending and reading. There's W+, which is for writing and reading. So instead of having 2 lines over here, I could just say W+. I want to write and read. That can be, again, more efficient as well. Let me just go through a bit more information over here. You do need to close this. If you do not close this and try to open the file actually, else you won't really. There will be some issues with if you wish to edit it and save it or delete it, because it'll say, oh, it's still open, because it's still open in memory. The file's still open. The close is required if you want whatever you wrote to be saved. So all this writing over here, if it did not have the close, it will not be saved, right? So when you open the file, it won't be there because you haven't closed off the file. So there you go. Just watch out for that. Always have this code .close. Always have that, because that usually causes a lot of issues. Okay, so now that we've got this, now let's say sometimes we want to read a file line by line. We do this by using the read line command. If we want to read all the lines in a file, we can use a while loop, which I would say not need to use that. There's a better way. We'll tell the program to read line by line while we are not reading an empty line, and so the end of the line, obviously. Of course, you could, change this to keep reading until it reaches any other string of your choice. Let's just copy over what they've written over here. Put some spacing, because I like spacing. Right, let's run this, and okay, here we go. So it printed off this, and let me explain to you what's going on up here. So we're telling it to open the file, read the line, then while line is not equal to anything empty, so while the line is actually full, when there's actually something in it, print me what it says, and then read the next line. And then close it off. So when it reaches the end, when there's nothing there, it'll just get off that while loop and just close off the file. There is a more elegant solution to this, and that's using the for loop. Let's just copy over this for loop over here. And this just goes line by line through the file, so it just says for line in file, so it just, again, goes line by line, and just prints it off, all the lines for you, like over here. Now, you will notice with both these options, there are blank lines. Why is this? Because that /n is giving blank lines. To print this, we can do is this over here. We can add this comma end equals 2 speech marks. When you run this now, as you can see, that's all gone because we've done that, right? We just added up this line of code, and that just fixed it. So there we go. Task 3A. 13A, I mean, not 3A. Write a program that reads a list of numbers from a file and then outputs the average. So if your file contained 3, 4, 5, okay. So let's actually open up is the directory. Okay, I'm going to create as a new text file. I'm going to call this numbers. There. Let's open this file. So here it is opened up. I'm using Notepad++, if anyone's wondering. It's better than the Windows default Notepad. Right around the right. Okay, let's copy all this over here. Let's close that off now. So So now we've got the file. Let's get this here. It's going to be called number file. Number. And sure, we can use the RT. You can just use R actually as well. But we'll just copy what OCR is written over here. And we want to go line by line. So let's do this here. For line. Of course, we don't need this end because there's end because there's /n. So for line in number file, we'll do is we'll get number equals int line, and let's print these numbers. Actually, let me see if this. Oh, forgot something. Yeah, what did I call it? Didn't I call it numbers? Numbers. Forgot to close it as well. Drop close. And let's run that. So, oh. Let's print out this as well, the third one being 3. Let's just comment all this out so we don't actually see this running. There you go. 3, 4, 5, well, 45, 83, 21. So we want to get is an average of all these numbers. So what we'll do is we'll say average number. Well, actually, let's do a number list. Number list dot append. Let's actually do that. Let's print out the number list and let's see. So we'll need a list of all these numbers. That's the first thing we're gonna need, really. So yeah, so it becomes this. So it becomes 3, 4, 5, 8, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now some people are wondering, oh, how are we gonna get the averages from a list? There are many ways we could do it. We could loop through the list, get every single integer, do something with it. But I feel like there's like a little clever way you can get around this. And you can do it like this. So let me write average number. What you can do is you can do the sum of the list. So that means adding up all the numbers in the list divided by the length or the size of the list. Like you would do normally. You count up all the numbers, so 3, 4, 5, 8, 3, 21, then divide by the number of numbers there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. You divide it by 4. This is exactly the same thing. Then we can just print off the average number. 38 right there. See? So, but what you could see over here is you can see it's 3, 24, 83. That is because it's looping for each number. Then, as the numbers get added on, it's like find the average. So we don't want it to appear multiple times. So we want this out of the loop because we don't want it to. We want one average number, and that's when the whole list has all the numbers there, which is now 38. 38 is the answer. There we go. And I know 38 is apparent as a float, as you can see, 38.0. You can just convert that to a lovely integer. Just convert that to an integer so we can get rid of that decimal point. And it becomes 38. Okay, so the next task is task 13b. In task 11a, you had to write a program that takes in names and store them into a list until end is entered. This time you're going to change it so it stores the names in between the times the program is run. Adapt the program so when it loads, it looks for a file, names.txt, and reads any names into the list. The user should be able to enter new names as before. When end is typed, it should output the new list, i.e. the loaded names, and the entered names, and save it into the file names, .txt. So, simple. That's actually quite simple. So, let's first start with the name file. Is equal to open name.txt. And I think I'm going to use the R+ file method. Why? file mode, I mean, because R+ opens a file for both reading and writing. So I feel like that's going to be very good, because we want to override the file with the new list. So we want to clean it off, put on this new list with the loader names plus those enter names into this new list, put that into the file, clean anything that was there before. Now, what I also think we should do is we should say is name list dot equals name file, and I'm going to use read dot read dot split lines. I feel like it's going to be dot read dot split lines. Why? I'll explain why in a minute. Let's actually print it. Let's see how that actually looks. Let's actually create this file first, actually. Let's put a couple of names. It's a name. Let's put in my name. Let's put in Bob. Let's put in John. Let's put John there. So, let's run this actually. So, Diogo, Bob, John. So, why don't you use .read.split lines? Because if I just use .read lines or whatever, I'll have those /n's there, and this just cuts those out. It just splits. It just reads the whole file, one whole long text, then splits up into separate lines, and it gives me a nice list. Now, what I would like to also do, so let's get rid of that, and let's do the while true like we've done previously. We're going to say name equals input name, and let's say we want to do is namelist dot append, and I want to append this, but hang on, if name is not equal to end is when we want to actually append this, so we actually want to add it onto the list. Else if name is equal to end, we just want to break it. What we just want to do is we want to just break. And when we want to break, what we want to do is actually let's not break yet. Actually, what I'm going to do, let's actually print out the name list. Then let's say name file dot write. I want to write whatever's in the name list. Then we'll break out this loop. And then we'll close the file. Let's run that. Let's say name. So let's put Ascot, for example. That's right now. So yeah, it did do that. That's great. But it said write argument must be string, not list. What's going on? It doesn't like when I write a whole list into it. Must do is a for loop. So what we must do is we must say here for name in name list write. So let's tab write down. So let's loop through this list and let's say okay. So the first one we Bob, put that into the list. Next, Diogo, put that into the list. So we're going through the loop through the list, and we added on that. We're writing that to the file. Let's make sure the file is intact actually. So yeah, it's still intact. And let's run this. So now let's see if we want to type in Ascot and Dylan, and we write in end. And Diogo, Bob, John, Ascot, and Dylan. And then let's actually open up this. But here's an issue. It's all written up like that, and it did not actually override. Did not override. What's going on? Okay, what's going on indeed? It's not overriding. Let's see. Is it the file method? Should we change our file methods to something else? Maybe this. Let's try W+. Let's see what happens to it. So let's fix up. So let's get rid of this. That's wrong. We don't want all that. And let's also, because we must specify what is a new line. We've got that new line that must be put onto there. Let's try Ascot and done like before. Have an end. But where's the rest? What the hell happened to the rest? Let's open up the file. It got overwritten. Yeah, we don't want that. So what we're going to have to do, I guess, is we're going to have to say, read this. Then, once you've read it, yeah, I'm going to have to open it multiple times. I think that's what's going to have to happen. After you've read this, open it up again. This time under write mode, and then close off. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. So yeah, first of all, let's actually write to the file again. Let's actually, about the file, let's put, there we go, Bob, John. There's F5. Try Ascot and follow this in there. Let's try end. There we go. Diogo, Bob, John, Ascot and Dylan. Let's go up that file again. Let's see. We just added the last one. What the hell is going on? Why is it doing that? I'll tell you why. It's opened up multiple times. We don't want that. Why is it doing that? Well, it's because it's in this loop. It goes through the loop. It does add Diogo, Diogo, Bob, John. It does add all of those. But then what happens is that because it's going through the loop, it ends with the W. It just overrides it. It's like, okay, you want me to get rid of it and place this name? Okay, you want me to get rid of it? Yeah, what we need to do is we need to put this outside of here, not inside. And we need to put this also outside the loop. Because we don't want to like read one name and close off the file. Done. No. So that's just a silly mistake that I made, isn't it? Doing that. And John. Let's run this again. Let's type in, let's say we want Ascot, Dylan, and let's put Ian, Callum, and let's end this. Here we go. Diogo, Bob, John, Ascot, Dylan, Ian, and Callum. Let's open up that file. There you go, finally. We have all the names in the file. There we go. Could have been quicker if I didn't make silly mistakes. Anyway, yeah, that's task 13B done. Not that difficult. You just have to, with files, you just have to get your head around with files, because sometimes you can make silly mistakes. Anyway, the next task is again another challenge, which I won't be doing in this video. I'll be doing that in a separate video, in a separate playlist, a separate series. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I hope to see you guys very soon. Goodbye.